And welcome back to another live check-in here on Dwain Woode MD. And I am 33 hours into this week's fast, and we're heading to, guess what? We're heading to 72 hours. I welcome you wherever you are. If you've been fasting with us, if you fasted with us and ended your fast today at 24 hours, if you started our fast during our check-in today when we went live at right around noon, 1 o'clock, or if you're joining us tomorrow as we get into the third component of our fasting, I'm welcoming you wherever you are right now. I'm just so excited that we are taking charge of our health. We are doing what we need to do to be healthy. As we're walking through this week's fast, I want to make sure that you understand that we're talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to reverse their diabetes, who want to get off of medications, who want to be metabolically healthy. That's right. And we're talking to all those people who are along the metabolic spectrum. What does that mean? That means people who have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, fatty liver, polycystic ovarian syndrome, who are at high risk for coronary artery disease and strokes and peripheral artery disease and all those diseases that get better when we can improve our metabolism. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. If you're new to me, the E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. Hey. So excited to be here, whatever platform you're joining us from. Thank you for coming through and hanging out with us. We're going to go ahead and we're going to look at some of our numbers here. I've got my meters off to the side that we're going to take a look at. That is my Contour and my Keto Mojo meter. And then right below me, you'll see there, that is my Dexcom Clarity Report, which we'll take a look to see what's been going on with my blood sugars here in just a little while. So thank you. I see some of our community members that are coming through. If you've been with us, if you've been joining us as we've moved through this amazing, man, it's been an amazing month, but it's been an amazing quarter, amazing year so far. And just so excited as we're walking through these things that we are learning how to create an environment, create a structure, put ourselves in rhythm and alignment with the things that we say we want to do for our health. Okay. Want to make a quick plug for a couple of things. One, if you've not been joining us for our strength, strategy, and mindset, our series that we're doing right now as part of our MOVE campaign. Remember MOVE, M-O-V-E, metabolic optimization via exercise. So we're moving, we're exercising. We did a 100-day walk to consistency, and right now we are on day 39, believe it or not, of our strength training activity, our strength training that we're doing in the morning every day at 6 o'clock. Come join us, hang out with us as we're going through and as we are doing the things we need to do to be metabolically healthy. I'm going to go ahead and pull up just here. Let's see, where are we? Let's do this one so you can see what we've been doing. Boom. So this is me in my workout area, having some conversation. We're doing some hammer curls there. So we do some hammer curls. We do bench presses. Well, I guess they're called dumbbell presses. So that's me putting on my stuff, right? So we're making, right, boom. Squeezed at the top, 2 count on the way down. Okay, so we're doing all those. We got some squats that we're doing, some leg knee raises, right? You get to see me kind of walking through the process of going through that. We do some curl and presses. Okay, so make sure that you're coming out and you're joining us. And then, of course, we did the 100-day walk to consistency, which ended for almost 50 days now. So if you are interested at all in your metabolism, if you want to do what you need to do to be healthy, this is a great series that we're currently running on the channel every morning at 6 o'clock. You want to be there so that you can be part of the part of the group and part of what we're doing. Also, as we are doing our check-ins, as we're doing, well, not check-ins, as we're doing our fasting, what I've been doing over the last several weeks, I've been going live, some pop-up lives during the day as we start the fast, as we're getting into the fast. And if you've not joined us yet, if you've not been there so you can start the fast with us, you want to make sure that you're doing that, because there's a great opportunity for you to jump in and for you to see what it is that we're eating. This is my last meal for the day before I get into my fast, and we have some conversation about what are some of the best practices for that. Okay, there's a great community that comes out, a great community that hangs out with us, so that we are doing all that we can to be healthy as we're moving through this space. Okay, so come on, join us for the strength training. Come join us as we are taking our last meal. And then, of course, as we move through the fast, we're doing our check-ins here, and then we do our complete review on Friday. So I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Kudos to all of you that are fasting currently. Kudos to those of you who finished the fast, and those who are going to come in tomorrow and join us. Okay, let's go ahead and let's take a look at blood sugars. And right now, I am, as I said, 72. I'm 33 hours into this week's fast. So we go ahead and pull my monitor up. Let's see, where are you? Come on, here it is. So you can see what those numbers are currently. Oh, okay, one more. I've got so many apps open on my phone. I'm trying to get rid of the things that. Okay, there we go. And so here's my blood sugar, what is currently running right now, and you'll see so that's my average. So that's my current blood sugar right there. And then down here, you'll see a little graph, and that graph is showing what my blood sugars have been today. And you'll see for most of today, it's been running about 100 or lower. And then later in the evening, you see that red part. That red part is when it dropped below 70. Okay, so we'll take a look at that. And you see it just popped up above 70 there just a minute ago. And then let's go see what my Dexcom is saying. And you see down at the bottom, the Dexcom is saying that I'm going to need to replace this sensor soon. But for the last 24 hours, let's go ahead and let's look through what those numbers have been. And so yesterday, about 9 p.m., which would have been, let's see, so today was 24. So what's that, 9 hours, 10 hours? 9 hours from the time we started fasting, 102. And then we ran low 90s. And then, of course, down in the morning right there, what I call the toothpaste effect, you'll see that popped up from the 90s up into, I think the highest it got there was a 107, 110. Oh, there was a 110. Yeah, 111, I think was the highest. And then from there, continue dropping to what we have right now. Okay, so that's what's been happening over the last 24 hours. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at my monitors. So I've got my Keto Mojo and I've got my Contour monitor that we're going to take a look at. And let me go ahead and grab some strips. One there for blood sugar, one for ketones. And I'm getting caught up in my, why is that up here? Getting caught up in my cable. All right, and then also here is a lancet, and then a strip for the Contour. All right, let's get that one in. So if you are currently fasting with us, this is day number 2, go ahead and put 2. If you fasted yesterday and ended the fast today, go ahead and put 1. If you are going to be fasting with us tomorrow, you want to put a 3, right? So 1 for yesterday, 2 for today, and then a 3 for tomorrow. And of course, if you're doing a total fast with us where you're going through the 72 hours, I want you to go ahead and put a T, right? Put a T. All right, so let's go ahead and get that. And then here is my lancet. Let me show that. And then let's find the finger All right, so this is always the interesting part. All right, let's see. Let's get a good drop. Hopefully that gives me, that one did not do what I wanted, y'all. You see that? I thought I got a good poke. Ow, ow. That one better give me one right there. Okay, there it is. Not as brisk as I thought, but that one, yeah, I felt that one. All right, so here we go. All right, and get one for the contour, and then I'll need one more for the ketone. Okay, so 84. 84 is what the 84 is what the keto module says. 85 for the contour. 83 you'll see there on the screen for the Dexcom, and then let's get a strip in there. And I should have opened this earlier. I didn't. Hopefully that blood doesn't dry. All right, there we go. And what do you think my ketones are? Right, so 33 hours of fasting, and you guys saw what I ate. If you were on the live that we did the pop-up, let's get that over there. So 33 hours of fasting. All right. And drum roll, please. Da, 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 da. And it is 0.5. Wow, look at that, right at 0.5. If you recall, 0.5, less than 0.5 considered normal, 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis, and then, of course, above 1.5 considered therapeutic ketosis. So right between 24 and 36 hours is when glycogen goes away. So I'm right in that space right now. And let's go ahead and let's go over to our reports. And here is my Dexcom Clarity report. And you see my average there of 101 for the last 14 days. My glucose management indicator 5.7. So if I were to get an A1C based on these numbers, it would approximate a 5.7. I can't call it an A1C quite yet. We're not that good yet. It's a calculated number. I am in target 100% of the time, according to this, and right there. And target being anywhere from 70 to 180. Beautiful, beautiful. I love that. I love those numbers. And if I change this to a 90-day view, my average of 109 with a glucose management indicator of 5.9, and then I am in target 96%, target being the same, 70 to 180. Let's go ahead and take a look at the daily graphs, right? So this is what's been going on with me with my blood sugars. I'm going to do two things. What I want to do is starting right here. So I'm going to go back. Well, let me go through this day first. So here's the day. This has been happening so far today, starting from midnight up here. And let me make a change. I'll go to this one so you can see, I think, a little bit better. There we go. So starting at midnight, for most of today, I've been in the low 90s to 111, I think was the highest that we saw here right after toothpaste. So right there was my toothpaste effect. And then for the rest of the day, the blood sugar kept going down, 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 down to where we are right now at 83, right? So that's the number we just saw. All right, so now I'm going to go back to where we started the fast, right in here. So 24 hours ago, right? So right here is where we started the fast. And let's see what was going on with my blood sugar coming into the fast. So my blood sugar was in the 90s, 112. Here was a 121, I think I saw there, right? And 117, so low, so mid-teens. And so right in here was where I ate, right? And so you recall, what did I eat yesterday? I ate, what did I eat yesterday, y'all? I forgot now. So I had a salad with grilled chicken and the hamburger patty, okay? And then I had some shredded carrots with cheese, cherry tomatoes, and dressing. And then so that was right in here. And I want you to watch what happens to blood sugar. So this is coming into the fast. So it's my last meal as I moved into the fast. And you'll see, I think I spiked up to maybe 110. Right, so right there, went up to 110. And then for most of yesterday, after the fast, I'm in the 100s. And then today, right, 90s, 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 90s. And then, of course, here this morning, that's the toothpaste. And then the rest of the day down in the 90s. And so the reason I want to show you that is when we're coming into the fast, we want to make sure that we don't have significant spikes. I was talking to someone in the office today, and I was telling them our goal is really not to have that many spikes, right? We want to have big swings. And sometimes I'll tell people, I would much rather you have a blood sugar of 160, keep it there, than to have a blood sugar of 70, 160, 60, 200. So we don't want those spikes, because that has a lot of implications on the amount of insulin that your body has to make, and then your cravings, right? So every time you crash, the body says, hey, I'm hungry, something's going on, it makes you hungry, you go eat, we get the spike, it goes up, insulin has to come out, insulin perpetuates that hunger and the cravings, and insulin is a storage hormone. So there are all these things that are going on when we're having those fluctuations. So we want stable numbers, and this is, post-fast or post-eating for the last meal, that's what you see there. Now going backwards, and let's see, let's go back to, this is where we broke the fast on Friday, right? So right in here, and I think I spiked up to maybe 120, 130 post-fast. So this is the rest of that day after I broke the fast. And then the next day, 100s, I think 122 there in the 126 there in the morning. 127. You saw that. And then, so that's Saturday, and then so lunch was right around here, and here is kind of my one meal a day, 129, I think was 131 was the highest they got. Coming into the next morning, right, so I think we spiked up there to 140, and I'm trying to think what that was, because we were up late watching movies and whatnot. I'll probably a popcorn or something. And then 100s, 108, 120, right? So here I'm eating right in here. So that's Sunday, eating with the family. And then Monday again, up to 120s, 130, 138. 136 was the highest there. And then, of course, Tuesday coming into the fast, as we saw. All right. So those are the numbers. Those are the numbers that we have. And as I said, I always want for you to see what is going on with those blood sugars, so that you understand what our goal is. Right? So our goal is that we are not having huge fluctuations, that we are not having big spikes in the blood sugars. Now, having said that, as I was mentioning to someone today in the office, you are going to go and do things where you will have spikes. It's inevitable, right? You're gonna have a birthday, you're gonna have an anniversary, it's gonna be Thanksgiving, and it's gonna be Christmas. And so I'm not so much worried about those occasional spikes, right? Because those are gonna be, whatever it is. It's a holiday, it's a whatever it is. But what we want to do on a regular basis, we want to make sure that we're doing and eating in a way that doesn't cause those big spikes. All right, so let's go ahead and let's say hello to our community members. I see some of you out there. Let's go ahead and pop over and say hello. Let's see who we got out there. So I think Gian was the first one who came on. Hey, Gian, how are you? And okay, there we are. Oh, I thought that was, oh, there she is. All right, and then Steve is saying, hello, Gian, and hey, Lynn, what is going on? Hey, Lynn, I saw your messages. Thank you for always being engaged. Lynn says she's 29 hours in. What? Come on, let me give you a hand clap for that one. 29 hours into this week's fast. Gian said, hey, Steve. Hi, Lynn. Cornelia, what's up, Cornelia? Says hi, Dr. Gion, Steve, Lynn, and Limitless Living Gang. Good job, Lynn. Yeah, definitely, definitely. And Lynn says, I thought he fasts 72 hours every week, starts Wednesday, but he sounds like he started yesterday. Yeah, so our fast, so I fast for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, right? But the fast starts at on Tuesday. So Tuesday into Wednesday, right? That's one day, and then Wednesday into Thursday. That's the second day, and then Thursday into Friday. So that's the kind of routine. And I usually, I start my fast after my team meeting on Tuesday because the team meeting is where we have. I'm not sure what we have all the times. I think next week on the list we're supposed to have. Is it maki fresh or something like that? Nothing but noodles, I think, is what they bring in. Is what we're gonna with what's on the list that I saw. So that's next week. Okay. Yeah. So listen, Lynn. So we start on Tuesday after the team meeting. We're usually about 12:30, 1 o'clock, 1:30. So Lynn says, "Hi Cornelia, good job. I always hear him say you're here. This is special great for women." And so Lynn says 3. So Lynn is fasting to okay. So fasting into tomorrow. Okay. So she said, "Hey doc, I used the one that comes with Keto Mojo. It would make it hurt less. You can dial it into yeah. So Lynn, yeah. So I good point. I actually don't like using the lancing devices. So whatever lancets I always get or whatever lancing device, I never use them. I will just take the lancet, take the thing off, and just poke it into my finger. But yeah, I have very thick skin, and so sometimes I'm anyway. That's just my idiosyncrasy. Gion says, hi, Cornelia. Cornelia says, yes, Lynn. Each week he starts Tuesday. LOL. Yes, Lynn. When I beat sleep, I'm here. Yes. And so, hey, Gion. Hi, Cornelia. Dr. Boz ratio, and a couple of others allow fasting snacks like nuts, bone broth, etc. I do them. I do them. You have to stay in ketosis. Yeah, I in our space we've been saying no calorie containing substances, no calorie containing foods, drinks, and so forth. But yeah, there is, and we did a show. I'm trying to remember now when we did it, but fasting mimicking diets where you are eating in such a way that it really is kind of keeping you in ketosis the whole time. It's a little bit. It's not necessarily a ketogenic diet, although it is. It creates ketones, but it's called fasting mimicking diets. And this says Dr. Boz and others allow some snacks if you stay in ketosis. Are you against that? Not against it, but in our space, we've said that we're doing a complete fast, a complete calorie fast. Okay, so not against it, but our protocol doesn't allow for snacking. And then Pamela says hello. Hi Pam from Cornelia. Lynn says hi Pam. Hi Pam. Hey Cornelia, Lynn, and Gian. And she said, "Oh, thank you." Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and I thought we would do something a little differently tonight. Well, I shouldn't say differently. We're talking about fasting, but what I want to do is I'm going to talk about a topic that I think is not discussed a lot. And we're going to talk about food. You're like, well, wait a minute. We talk about food all the time. Well, we're going to talk about food in a little different way than we have been talking about it. And specifically, it really centers around the balanced bites idea. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's jump into that right now. All right. So several episodes ago, actually more than several episodes, probably almost a year ago, we did a show where we talked about food, and in particular, we talked about creating a menu. Right, it was a 7-day menu that we kind of walked through, and looked at some of the foods and some of the things that people can eat, and things that people do eat. So I thought we'd kind of walk through that again and make some comments as we are talking about balanced bites, right? So now the question is, hey, we're talking about fasting. Why are we talking about food? And we're talking about food because the food that you eat when you're not fasting has a dramatic influence on what happens during the fast, right? As you guys know, as we've talked about. And so I want to go through, we're going to talk about some foods that you can eat, some things that we say, okay, these are good things, and then I'm going to make a couple of points as we get further on. So let's kind of walk through this. And so the first thing that we want to talk about is some general ideas or general principles that I want you to pay attention to as we're moving through this discussion. And they have to do with really just kind of our thought process around food. And you'll see as we go through some of the things that we'll talk about hearken to our balanced bites idea, right? So use different words, but that's okay. I wanted to make sure that everyone understood what we're talking about. So a couple of thoughts, okay? And the thoughts have to do with what we're doing, some general tips as we're eating during those days. We'll come back and tie it to fasting here in a minute. So you want to eat well, or eating well is a form of respect for yourself. Let's start there. And the reason I say that is when we talk about rhythm, alignment, and structure, the rhythm, alignment, and structure, limitless living says that I am doing everything that I need to do for my success. And in this case, we're talking about health. Now, we could apply limitless living to lots of different areas. But every meal that you eat is an opportunity for you to nourish not just your body, but also your well-being. So the things that we're eating, remember, the food that we eat, the food sends a signal, and that signal says something to our body. So sometimes we just concentrate on the calories, and we concentrate on the carbs or the sugar response that we get. But remember, once the sugar is gone, or once the calories go to wherever they're going to go, whether they get stored or you burn them up or the sugar level comes down, something had to happen for that blood sugar to get better, for those calories to go away. And those are hormonal effects in the body. And as you know, hormones have a tremendous influence on what's going on in our system. Particularly in our case, we're talking about insulin. Because dysregulated metabolism is the thing. So that the food that we eat isn't just the calories and it's not just the sugar, right? So there are things that are going on. So by choosing foods that stabilize your blood sugar, which we were talking about just a minute ago, right, and enhance energy, we honor our health and we invest in our future. So remember, good nutrition isn't just about avoiding illness, it's about thriving. So that's why balanced bites is a good idea, and balanced bite is so powerful. We're not talking about just avoiding stuff, right? Oh, I don't want to get that, or I don't want to have this, or I don't want my metabolism. What we're talking about is doing what we need to do to build a strong, thriving body so that we are less likely to move in that direction. And we can do other things that we want to do. So we're not just saying, hey, I don't want to get sick. It's like, I don't want to get sick, but I also have some things I want to do. Now, people do all kinds of things. They jump out of airplanes, they go water skiing, they go climb mountains, whatever your thing is. This body that you have is what's going to take you there. And so the best vehicle that you can have is what we want. And so the best that we can do for this vehicle is what we want to do. It's kind of like having a car. And you can do things to prevent the car from breaking down, but you can also do things that enhance it. Okay? And so we're not just talking about, hey, let's stop this from happening, but I'm talking about let's enhance it. Let every bite take you closer to your best self. Okay? So some common things that you want to think about as you're talking about eating. Hydration, right? If we're not hydrated, things don't work well. Portion control. Sometimes it's not that we are eating the wrong thing, it's just we're eating too much of the thing. Substitutions. And I made a point to our team just today about this, or yesterday about this, because sometimes we think that something has to have that one ingredient, but sometimes maybe just changing that one ingredient makes the food that we eat much better in terms of health. The way we prepare food, right? Everybody's up, talking about fryers and air fryers and baking and so forth. The way you prepare the food has an effect on what's going on with the food itself. I think we talked about smoothies, for example, right? When you make a smoothie, and I'm not bashing smoothies, but I just want to make a point. When you're doing a smoothie, right, what you're doing is you're pulverizing the vegetables, the fruits, whatever it is you have in the smoothie. Which is great because, well, not great. The smoothie is good because people get their nutrients. Some people don't eat vegetables, they don't eat fruits, and so forth. So anyway, they're getting those in the smoothie. One of the drawbacks of the smoothie, though, is that by blending, pulverizing it, you're losing the fiber. And you're just getting concentrated carbohydrates. Okay? So positive, negative, take that as a grain of salt, whatever. So I'm not bashing it, but just a point to be made there when we are talking about different ways of preparing foods. And then adjust seasonings. Man, please make the food taste good. Right? Part of Balanced Bites, it says tasty and flavorful. Please make the food taste good. Somebody. Mm-hmm. Do you guys remember granola? I'm not talking about the granola like from today. I'm talking about like old time granola, right? It tasted like tree bark. Well, we've made it taste better by putting a lot of sugar and stuff in it, right? You got all the nuts and so forth. You got the granola bars now. Well, I remember, back when I was eating granola, and I did not like it, right? What was the well, I'm not going to call it a brand, but anyway. Yeah, so at my house, growing up, they had granola. And I was like, "Arr!" Right? And so, I don't know, my dad or grandfather or somebody put some stuff in it. I mean, put some cinnamon, some nutmeg, and right? And I was like, man, this is good, right? So please make it taste good. Adjust the seasonings. And then, of course, the cooking method, right? The cooking method you use. Grilling has a good place. We bought, if you remember back late last year, I got a smoker for the first time, right? So the smoker, I mean, it was delicious. The food is good, right? So I don't have to put as much seasoning on it because I love the flavor, the smoke flavor. So let's go ahead and let's hop in. And let's talk about fasting durations, right? So fasting durations. So how long should I fast? A question that a lot of people ask. And there are lots of different ways, and we've done shows where we talk about the different fasting methods, intermittent fasting, time-restricted feeding. And so those top terms that you're seeing there, intermittent fasting and time-restricted feeding, sometimes are used interchangeably, right? Anything that you do where you fast, you have a period of fasting, followed by a period of eating, followed by a period of fasting, followed by a period of eating, is called intermittent fasting. So, as an example, I do a 72-hour fast every week, followed by a 4-day, what's that? How many days is that? Followed by a 4-day of eating. So I'm alternating between fasting and eating, fasting and eating. That is, by virtue of the process, it's called intermittent fasting, right? Now, we've used it to do, the 16, 8, and 12 and 12 and those types of things. That is the case, but the whole process, all of those are actually called intermittent fasting. So what the term is that we've coined for the 16, 8, and 12 and 12 and 18 and 4 is time restricted eating, where you have specific times during the day where you're not eating. Okay. And then, of course, alternate day fasting, where you're eating either alternating every other day. There's the 5 and 2, right, where you fast for 2 days, eat for 5, or vice versa. And then, of course, the prolonged fasting, as we're doing, 72 hours. So anything actually beyond 24 or higher is considered prolonged or extended fasting. Okay, all right. And so now let's go and let's talk about some food. So day one. So what are we gonna eat for day one? And so the first thing I want to point out is when you are talking about eating, you want to be sure that what you're doing is, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. You want to be sure that you are, let's see, did I do something there? Hold on a second, y'all. Yep, there we go. There we go. You want to make sure that you are prepared. Often we don't prepare well, and when we don't prepare, that sets us up for challenges, for difficulty, because then we rush in and we're just doing whatever we can find, right? And whenever you're doing whatever you can find, it's not a good space to be. So what you see there is a shopping list, right? So we're gonna make some stuff. Let's assume that this is our breakfast, lunch, and supper, right? So we're gonna have some Greek yogurt, unsweetened, with some mixed berries. We're gonna have some ground flaxseed. We're gonna have some quinoa. We're gonna do some shopping, and then we're gonna see some pictures here in just a minute, so that you can help me kind of walk through this process. Okay. All right. So that's what we're going to do. We are going to go shopping, and we're going to pick all this stuff up. We're going to be ready to create our meal. And so here is breakfast. Well, this is lunch, actually. The Greek yogurt and the berries were breakfast. Now, in the comments, if you're out there, if you're watching, go ahead and put in, well, what would you change? What would you change here? Okay. So here's a quinoa salad. It has some cucumbers, it's got some cherry tomatoes, it's got some apples. And so this right here, whole foods, right? So whole foods, and there's nothing there that's quote unquote processed. I mean, depends on how the quinoa is made or where you get it from and so forth. But we've got whole foods, minimized processing, no added sugar. We've got protein. We got the lean protein there, right? So that's chicken. The fats, depending on how the quinoa was prepared, if you got some butter in there, if you got some other stuff, and of course the grilled chicken that you have, depending on how you prepare that could be your fat. Starchy, right? So I've got the quinoa, and non-starchy, right? All this other stuff out here, vegetables. The quinoa is not technically a vegetable, but we'll take that as our starch. Right? So this is a great meal, right? That fulfills all of the things that we talked about, or we talk about when we talk about balanced bites, right? So this is lunch. And then of course supper is, we've got some salmon, some grilled chicken, from some quinoa back there. We've got some broccoli. And so let's go through. So whole foods, yes, everything is whole foods. Minimized processing, yes. No added sugar, yes. We've got lean protein. We got the chicken. We've got starchy and non-starchy again, broccoli and the quinoa. Okay, we didn't make a comment about portion size. So portion sizes on the previous one and portion size here seems appropriate. And it's tasty. Right, it better be tasty, right? Oh, you can drizzle it. Somebody said, let's drizzle it in some, or cover it in cheese. Okay, so those are things that you can do right there. So as you're talking about our meals that we're going to be eating during the non-fasting window, you want to craft things that one are simple that you can do. So everything that we did there wasn't a lot of preparation. There wasn't a lot of processing. It was just very simple, particularly as we went back. If you go back and let's look at the quinoa salad, right? So everything in there, just the chicken and the quinoa, The only two things there that are cooked. Okay, so you can prep. You can go to the grocery store. You can prep, buy your food for a particular week. For instance, we're fasting. If you're doing a 72-hour fast, I went to the grocery store on my way home because on a weekly basis, I make jerk chicken and I make curry at home here. Me and my son, we love that. That's our thing, right? Just give that to us. And we can put that together with anything. And that's the beauty of preparation and the food that we're doing. You can, if you do a good job of prepping, then you have, for instance, I make jerk chicken. I can have jerk chicken and curry with anything. So right there, I pretty much have all my meat, all my protein for the entire year. I mean, and for the entire week. Now I've just got to figure out, okay, what am I going to pair with that? So my wife actually just went in the refrigerator before I came on, and I had bought some Brussels sprouts. Not Brussels sprouts, some asparagus, right? So that was what I was going to use actually Friday to break the fast, which I didn't make it. So that's in the refrigerator. So I've got Brussels sprouts out there. I always have salad, right? So most of the things that you see, if I'm putting something together, there's going to be some salad. Why? Because salad gives me bulk. Salad fills me. And it's not that I'm not wanting to eat other things like rice, right? My history is full of rice. That's all we used to eat is rice. Everything was rice, right? And I have to admit that sometimes I think nothing tastes good without rice. But as I'm learning, right? As I'm learning, I am learning to taste and eat different things. Okay? All right. Okay, let's get back here. So that was the quinoa salad. Okay, so day number two, I've got some oatmeal, and this is not oatmeal from the packet. This is like oatmeal from the box with the guy with the gray hair. Yep, that's the kind of oatmeal. There's got some cinnamon in there. There's got some apples. And then you see there, I've got a wrap. There's some avocado in there. We've got all my vegetables. And then down below, I've got salmon with asparagus that's on a bed of rice. Now, if I were preparing this, I would substitute the rice for something else. If you saw one of our shows, last season, when we did Cooking with Dr. Woode, I made cauliflower rice. Right, so that is something you can do. I mean, and this exact menu for day number 2, you can have the same thing. I would take out the apples. I would remove the rice and change that for the cauliflower rice. But the wrap, I would do exactly as it is. The oatmeal, I would do it exactly as it is, except for the apples, and then change the rice. Now, notice, if I did that for this meal, if I took out the apples, got rid of the rice, that's a whole, I mean, I'm not even sure how many carbs that would be that I would be getting rid of. Right? And the meal still is flavorful, and it still is satisfying. Okay? So that's day number 2. If we go to day number 3, and so here for breakfast, we've got some eggs with spinach and some avocado. Egg, spinach, and avocado. Now, you can use tofu for the eggs. I don't know if anybody's ever used tofu to make kind of tofu eggs, is what we call it. But it tastes just like eggs. I mean, for those of you who are from other parts of the world, for instance, people who are from Jamaica or some other country, Caribbean countries, ackee is one thing people use, so you can do that as well. But that gives me my fat, that gives me some protein, that gives me some vegetables, some greens in there, and then some soup. So lentil soup, which is good there, and then there's a salad, lentil soup with salad. That's lunch. And then for supper, I've got a stir fry. And the stir fry, a couple of points I want to make there. One, right? And we're talking about substitution. What would we put in? So I would take the stir fry. I would take the rice out. I would substitute my thing, right? So cauliflower rice is what I do. So I'd put that in there. So really a lot of vegetables. We've got, you can do chicken, you can do tofu, you can do steak tips, you can do salmon, you can cut them up into cubes, you can stir that together, right? And then a point that I want to make, which I didn't make on some of the previous menus, is colorful, right? And I probably should add that into Balanced Bites. If your meal is colorful, that means that you are getting balance. Where you got some reds and greens and oranges and browns and whatever, all the shades, you got them in there. But if you look at your plate and everything is, if it's monotone, guess what? You're not getting balance in there. Right, so Balanced Bites, not just that list, but also we want to make sure that you're getting nutrients. You want to get all the nutrients. And my point that I keep making, we're talking about substitution. How would I improve this menu? How would I improve this meal? These are simple things that we have. There's nothing there that you see that's complicated. And all this we can actually do as we're prepping for the week. If you're going to keep the rice, you can cook the rice earlier. You can make the lentils earlier. Probably the only thing that I wouldn't do here is maybe even the vegetables. You can probably do the vegetables maybe a day or two before, but I wouldn't do them too far ahead because vegetables, at least these vegetables that are there, they get kind of soft. And I mean, in stir fry, you want crisp vegetables. When you bite it, you don't want it to just shrink away, right? So day number 3. So day number 4 is, you'll see there that we have the smoothie, which we talked about, and we talked about positives and negatives of smoothie. There is a chicken salad. And then down below, we've got whether you pot roast or a stew, which has your protein and it has some vegetables in there. And you can do rice, you can do cauliflower rice, you can do quinoa, you can do, I mean, just a host of things. Now, one of the things that happens to me here is a lot of people. They say to me, I'm a meat and potatoes person. Meat and potatoes. Okay? So a couple comments about potatoes. I've gone places where they've had a potato that's almost as big as my head. Okay? So that's not the potato that you want to have. If you're going to have a potato, right, it should be a reasonable potato. Not like the gigantic one where like 5 people can eat off of it. That's number 1. Number 2, we talked about retrogradation, right? And in all the things that we're doing, all of the pastas and the wheat things that we're talking about, and the rice as well. When you cook something, in order for it to get soft, like rice, potatoes, and so forth, then you have to heat it, and the water infuses into it. Those molecules, they break. And so when you eat that, if you eat that, the body absorbs it. Boom. Okay? If you take that same food and you put it in the refrigerator, it cools down. When it cools down, those molecules are reforming, so that when you heat it up again, the molecules don't break as easily, and so you don't absorb as much of the carbs. That's called retrogradation. So one way to kind of mitigate some of the spike that you get in pasta, potatoes, rice, bread, all of those things, is to cook them a day ahead or 2, put it in the refrigerator, let it cool down, and then tomorrow when you're ready to eat, it's already done. You take it out, you warm it up, and it does not give as big a spike. Okay? So if you're going to have potatoes, that's how I would recommend you doing it. Now, if you're going to a restaurant, you can't necessarily do that because they make them right there, unless you bring your own potato. But that's a whole nother conversation. Okay? So in this, I would nix the smoothie. Right, so I wouldn't do a smoothie. In fact, if I were eating 3 meals a day, I would probably go back and do like some eggs. Some people would do sausage. I would probably do some spinach with my eggs. That would be my breakfast. But because I really tend to do a one meal a day anyway, I would just get rid of the smoothie, and then the other things that are there is what I would eat, replacing putting cauliflower rice in there somewhere. Okay, so that would be my day. And then day five that you see there, I've got some chia, a chia pudding up on top there, with some and mangoes and some cream. So you can, healthy, right? You get the chia. I would, no, I think I would leave the mangoes. I would leave the mangoes there, just as long as you're not like having like 5 mangoes, right? And then there is some fish, so tilapia. I think that's tilapia right there. And then and you can pair that, right? So once you make the fish, or if you're gonna do chicken, or you're gonna do a piece of meat there, you can pair that with so many different things. So many different things. We went out on 2 nights ago. We went out, and so I actually didn't have what I wanted. I wanted to have a ribeye. But I was there, and I decided. Actually, that was Monday night when we had the whole issue when I had to leave. So I didn't have my ribeye. So what I had was a Caesar salad with chicken. Caesar salad with chicken, and it was delicious. And I was full. Right, and I told him I need a good piece of chicken. Right. So anyway, and then of course chili, and chili is always a good staple. Right, if you make a pot of chili, and then if you don't use all of it this week, you freeze it, and then you maybe a couple of weeks later. And so here's a beautiful thing. Here's a point I want to make. When you make stuff, right, make enough. Like if you have space, freeze some of it. Right, and so when you're preparing your meal and preparing your menu, you're gonna say, okay, I'm gonna have say 4 weeks in the month. So week 1, I'm going to have chili. Week 3, I'm going to have chili. Well, don't make chili again in week 2 to have it week 3. Just make enough, right? Split it in 2. Put some in the freezer. You have the rest for this week. And then when week 3 comes, where you're going to have chili again, just pull it out and warm it up. And you can do that for lots of different things. Chili is a perfect example of that, but you can do that with lots of other things as well. Okay, and then day six. All right, so now that you're looking at day 6 and you're like, man, look at all those carbs. And the answer is yes, a lot of carbs. So we've got some potato, some pancakes there with some blueberries. I got some syrup on it. I've got some rice, some carrots, a piece of meat. I've got some pasta down below with bok choy. So if I were modifying this, of course I would nix the pancake, or maybe not nix the pancake altogether, but instead of having 3 pancakes, maybe I'd have 2 or 1. So when I go away, a bunch of guys and I go away every December. When we go away in December, the places we go, we're sitting around, they have pancakes. And guess what? I have pancakes. I have a pancake, actually. Right? Pancake with fruits and yogurt. So that's my breakfast. So as you are thinking through your meal, you don't have to not, like, if you like pancakes, you just have to understand yourself and how those things affect your body. So I know I don't have pancakes every day. I don't have pancakes except for that one time when we go away. Or if my family goes away, maybe we'll have some. But typically I don't eat breakfast, first of all. But you have to know yourself and understand how your body responds. So that you don't have to not have pancakes. You just have to know, what am I going to do now if I do have the pancakes? Do I have all the syrup? Do I have all the fruits on it? Do I have 3 pancakes or do I have 1 pancake? Lots of different types of pancakes. I mean, we're going to have, I'm not even going to go through the rest. Okay, and then down below, you'll see the pasta. And I'm going to show you a thing here in a minute to some substitutions, right? So pasta. And then day number seven, once again, we got the chia, right? That's there. We got a sandwich. And we've got some pasta, right? Now this one, and I did this one deliberately because it's the end of the week, and a lot of people say, okay, I'm gonna have a cheat day. Okay, if you want a cheat day, okay, here it is. And on this cheat day, look at that. We've got some chia, we've got some coconuts in there, we got a sandwich, we got some pasta. I would modify this. First of all, I would get rid of the chia because it's breakfast. I'm not gonna have breakfast. The sandwich, you can get rid of one of the slices of bread, or if you decide that I'm going to have a sandwich, okay, this is my main carb for today, and then I would have to modify the supper, right? So changing some of that. Now, so the point I wanted to make here is I made this menu. I was going through this menu, and as a matter of fact, I talked to my team about some of this today. I made this menu, and I'm walking through this menu, and I'm looking at this, and I realize that we all have food patterns. Right? We all have food patterns, and the food patterns are the ways that we are used to eating. It's our culture, it's our environment, it's our family, it's the stuff that we used to eat. And so I want to share with you some of the things that part of my food pattern, right? So jerk chicken, right? And I said to you, I make jerk chicken every week. Well, most weeks. I should say every week because there are probably some weeks when I didn't make it. But I make jerk chicken every week. And you can do a lot of different things with it. So the pattern of how you eat, the food that you're eating, what your job is to figure out how to make that in a healthier way. Not that you have to stop eating it, but how do I make this in a healthier way? So one of the things that I have to do is when I make curry, right? And I'm a gravy person. I love gravy, right? So whatever I'm gonna cook, whatever food it is gonna be gravy in it. The reason I like gravy, right, is because you get to drizzle the gravy over stuff. I want you to hear me. Now, if you think about food, what are we typically drizzling gravy over? It's usually a carb. Now, I mean, you put it on meat, but I'm saying, aside from the meat, aside from the dish itself, we're putting gravy over carbs. And so when I make curry, I've got to be careful. Sometimes I'll throw away some of the gravy. I'll keep a little bit of it because I know if it's here, right? Tell the truth. I know if it's here, I'm going to have something with it. And that typically is a carb. Okay, so jerk chicken. And then fish, right? So here's baked snapper. This is what I love to have, baked snapper. I love to have snapper. My wife loves fried snapper, and yeah. So if it's here, as a matter of fact, there are some in the refrigerator right now that she made earlier this week. So baked snapper, right? So talking about the culture, talking about the things that you eat. Dal. This is a dish from my culture. So it's basically a split pea soup. And this, y'all, will drive my blood sugar up. It doesn't matter how much it doesn't matter if I cook it last night, retrogradation. It doesn't matter if I eat a little bit, it's going to run my blood sugar up. And what I've had to learn is to eat it without the thing that it goes on, the thing that I eat it on, which is a mountain of rice. So I don't eat a mountain of rice anymore. I eat a hill of rice. Okay? So when you're creating, and then pepper pot is a dish that's from, well, we say it's a Guyanese dish, but a lot of other people make it. But it's basically, you think about gumbo, right? And it's the same idea. You take a bunch of meat and you put it in a pot and you cook it, and lots of different things that you do to it, and that's what it is right there. So there's some oxtail, cow foot, there's some tripe in there, there is some probably some beef in there. So whatever it is, you just put it in there, cook it up, and then that goes on top of what? Guess what? Yeah, it goes on top of a carb. Okay. So once again, when you're looking at the food, you want to make sure that you're looking, how do I make this as healthy as possible? And so that's what I've done, right? So that's kind of me, right? Jerk chicken. A lot of other people have different things, right? So you've got to look at your food, right? So if you're Oriental, from Asia, from and just like me, they have a lot of rice, right? So a lot of rice, dumpling, pasta. And now, how do I make this healthy? How do I make sure that when I'm eating, in my eating window, that I'm still following balanced bites? It's not going to be 100%. You're not going to get rid of all the pasta. You're not going to get rid of all the rice. You're not going to get rid of all the dough. You're not going to get rid of all the wheat. But as much as possible, we want to prevent spiking of our blood sugars. Okay? If you're from the South, right, there's a whole litany of things, right, that you see there, right? We've got cornbread, we've got fried chicken, we've got the black eyed peas, we've got some mashed potatoes, we've got the corn, and with sweet potato, all of those. And the question always is, how do I make it healthy? How do I substitute? What am I going to substitute for that? Okay? What am I going to substitute in this process? And so with that in mind, I'm going to hop over and I want to look at a couple of things. Right? We talk about substitution. And these are some simple things, right? So this is not an exhaustive list, and this is just some ideas. So why do we use sugar? Right? We use sugar for flavor. We use sugar because it tastes good. Right there you see cinnamon. And cinnamon is just a filler. It's just a place that I put there. There are other things you can use to flavor the food. And that's the whole point there. It's not that cinnamon is equivalent to sugar. Is that, okay, what am I going to do to this meal, to this food, to still make it taste good? And you want to make sure that you are anticipating, well, what flavors do I like? And experiment with them. That's the beauty of this. You can experiment with different flavors. Okay. Now the second one there you see is I put it there just because, but I don't encourage this, right? So this is crackers for snacks. I don't encourage snacking, but if you are snacking, instead of crackers, right? Sometimes people like the crunch. Well, how about some sliced veggies? Carrots, celery, cucumber, even some zucchini, right? You can use those. And then cereal. If you're a breakfast person, substitute the cereal for some oatmeal. And this is not the oatmeal in the pack with all this stuff in it. This is like from the box with the guy with the white hair. Okay? And so cereals have gone, I mean, sometimes I taste some cereal and it's like all sugar. I'm like, is there anything other than sugar in this? And then, of course, granola bar, as we talked about before, the old-time granola, I'm trying to think if you can even find it. Probably you, because I see it in the I shouldn't say that. And then some nuts, right? So nuts. That's what I do. I do nuts, and got to be careful with that. Tortilla. If you saw the wrap that we made earlier I think that was day 2. You can take that wrap and you can transfer, or you can substitute the skin or the tortilla or the wrap that you did for lettuce leaves, and you can use that and use your wrap. Pasta, you can use string squash instead of that. The dressing, right? And this one I have to admit that I have not been able to successfully do, right? I will make a salad sometimes and I'll put olive oil, balsamic vinegar in it with some salt and pepper, and it tastes good, right? But can I say I'm addicted? Yeah, addicted to ranch dressing. So that's my thing, right? So I've got to, if I can substitute that, that's my point there, is you can substitute things and you got to experiment with it so it tastes good. And then of course mayo, you can do crushed avocado, you can make guacamole. All of those things are things that you can do so that you are doing a healthy meal. Okay. All right. And so that's our conversation about meals. As you are fasting, as we are walking through metabolism and how do we make metabolism, how do we make that better? We want to make sure that we're looking at our balanced bites, making sure that we're not having big spikes in our blood sugars, making sure that we are in our eating window, not sabotaging the things that we are saying that we want in our fasting window. Okay? And we'll come back, we'll talk more about as we move through the series, we'll talk more about the food that we eat, about the fasting window, about the eating window, and how we can best set that up to be successful. All right, all right. So I saw a lot of comments, so let's go ahead and let's hop out there and let's see. Let's see, we got some folks out there. Let me grab this over here. I prepared for this. Okay. Let's go. So Lynn. So back to Lynn. Lynn says they have a lot of, oh, let me go this one. They have a lot of processed food in them. Those best mimicking diets. Yeah, they have a lot of processed stuff in it because, as a matter of fact, there's and Lynn, to your point, there's a food process. I should not process, but a food group catalog that you can subscribe to subscription, and they will send you the food. You can buy the food. So yeah, it is processed. There's a lot of processed things there. Pamela says, I definitely need this talk. Yeah, all of us. I needed it as well. I have definitely been doing fasting, relapsing, and I'm so glad I found him. I'm glad that you are here as well, Lynn. Glad that you are in our space. Cornelia says, Lynn, clap, clap, clap for starting your fast next Tuesday. So glad you found him too. Yep, glad that you were here. Cornelia says, I prepared for this fast with balanced bites over the weekend up until the start of the fast yesterday. Awesome, awesome. I love it. Hand clap for you. And Cornelia says, my fasting blood sugar went from 277 yesterday morning to 155 this morning, and my ketones were 1.1. What? She says it normally takes about 3 days for those numbers to show up. Now, this is a huge point right here, right? Thank you for putting that in there, Cornelia. When you fast on a regular basis, your body becomes more metabolically flexible so that when you begin fasting, you get the benefit. Remember, we're always building on top of the benefit that we had before. So your body gets faster and better able to switch between the different sources. And so, yes, normally it takes you 3-4 days for blood sugars to come down. When you fast, it can happen quickly, right? And that's what Cornelia is pointing out. She said, it works. Those meals look so good. They do, Cornelia. I almost didn't want to do it because I was like, man, I'm going to be tempting myself. Cornelia says, I would substitute the rice with cauliflower too. Yep, that's a good one. Good one. Pamela says, congrats, Cornelia. Thanks, Pam. She said, I need this talk as well. I need this talk as well. I'm planning to try making tofu myself this weekend. Yes, tofu, great, great, great. Go back and look at our show, Cooking with Dr. Wood, how to make tofu. Pam says, Lynn, just a FYI, my opinion is, Pam, I think I may have missed something there, Pam, in what you're saying to Lynn. Pamela says, Lynn, just for you, I think he is really great. Oh, well, thank you. Howdy, y'all. What's up, Jennifer? Hey, Jennifer. Hey, Jennifer from Pam, from Cornelia. Gian says, hi, Jennifer. Supper this evening. So Jennifer says she said home-raised grilled chicken breast, first zucchini of the year, wilted spinach, kale, and lettuce from the garden, tossed with mushrooms and tahini. Oh, Jennifer, you're making me hungry. Cornelia said, Jennifer, you win. That sounds amazing, right? It does. It does. Okay. Jennifer says, definitely puts my meal to shame. Oh, Pamela says that. Jennifer said, it was have fresh rhubarb for tomorrow. Oh, deciding what to make. Oh, that's beautiful. Gian says, great, Jennifer. LLG, sorry. I had to go out now. My neighbor or something asked for me. Okay. Sorry to go out live. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, yeah, thank you for stopping by, Gian. Jennifer says, bye, Gian. Lynn says she had to step out. I'm back. I screenshot some of the charts and I print them out and put them up sometimes. Awesome. Cornelia says, thank you. Okay, I'll check out the cooking show. Okay, yeah, definitely, definitely. Oh man. So everyone, I'm so excited. The community, well, let's do my thing, right? Let's do our thing. So we educate, we empower, we encourage. Educate, empower, encourage. I do a lot of education. In fact, if you look at what I'm calling the limitless living universe, right? There's a lot of education, right? So I am a teacher by heart. I am a learner at my core, and I love learning. And so I treat everybody else as though they like learning, right? So that's how we as people, that's how we do. We treat people the way we like to be dealt with. And so I do a lot of education. It comes from my time as a teacher. It comes from my time as, in my learning. As a resident, I had to teach. As a chief resident, I had to teach. As a physician, I teach. And so it's just in my blood. Lots of teaching. And so you'll see throughout the course of our channel, of our show, I'm always doing some kind of education. Empowerment comes because education is great. Education is needed. Education is terrific because it helps to change our thought process. It gives us different perspective. The more education we have, the better we are if we begin applying that. And for my office, sometimes I'll have patients come in. So all of my new patients go to education. And sometimes patients will come in and their A1C is great. It's 6.2. And they've been diabetic for 30 years. And I'll put them in education. They'll say, well, why am I going to education? Because my blood sugars are good. My A1C is great. I know what to do in terms of my diabetes. I said, because you can never learn too much. And it's just like going to a job. When you show up on the job, they don't care how long you've been doing what you're doing. They're hiring you to do. What do? They put you through orientation so that you know what is the way that we do it in this culture, in this space. So education. But empowerment comes with your behavior, with your actions, the things that you do. As we are now implementing fasting, we're working on balanced bites. We are walking, we're strength training. It comes to life. It gets power when you infuse it with behavior, with action. It's great to have the education, but let's not just leave it there, right? It has to have power, and the power comes with the tools that we're learning and all the tools that we're learning, right? So balanced bites, the health action plan, the strength training, the fasting, the walking, all of these are tools that you can use to begin now implementing the things that we're learning. And then we educate, we empower, and the community we encourage. There is power in togetherness. There is power. There is benefit. There is growth. There is encouragement. All of that comes from community. Like, I love when I see you guys out there just talking to each other. I love the communication. Right? Hey, I did this. Or, hey, this is the benefit I'm having. Hey, I see this. Hey, I learned this. Hey, I've been struggling with this. Whatever it is. Right? We sharpen each other. We get better. We get stronger. We get faster. We get more enhancement when we do it in community. And that is the beauty of, that's why I love doing the lives. I love you guys being on here. I love doing the pop-ups that we're doing during the day. I love the Kajabi that we have where we can talk to each other and share what's going on in our lives in a deeper way. If you've not done that yet, go ahead and join. I encourage you, join the community there, and then show up to our lives. Show up to our lives and the things that we're doing here. You'll see a number or a button down there somewhere that says join. Come join us. Be with us. And it is so rich. It is enriched. Okay? So educate, empower, encourage. And everything that we do is based on that premise. As we move through the rest of this week, we'll be back tomorrow for our live. We'll do a pop-up around 1 o'clock. All right. So for those of you who are fasting, those of you who are joining, those who are ending your fast, come join us. And we have a fun time. It's, not long, and it's not formal. It's just us coming together and say, okay, we're fasting now. Okay, who's fasting? What have we done? Who's ending their fast? And just time to get together in the week during the day because the support is important. And then tomorrow night we'll be going live. And I said, I think I said in the check-in today or the live that tonight was the recital. I actually got it wrong. It's actually tomorrow night is the recital, but we'll still be scheduled to go live at 9 because I think we should be done by then. And I'll be back and we'll do our check-in. So 9 o'clock tomorrow night. Okay, and then on Friday we'll do our complete review of fasting. Saturday night 9 o'clock will be video from the vault. Sunday morning, 6 a.m. Central, will be This Week in Review. And then we'll be right back here next Monday, as we continue walking through our health action plan. As you know, we had to postpone that this past week. We had a family issue that came up. We spent, 7, 8, 9 hours in the ER following that show. I'm fine. My family members are fine, but we had to nix the show as I was going on air. Right, I think I had just hit the button to say go live, and then I had to say, hey guys, this is not going to happen right now. So we'll be back and we'll walk through that, and we are talking about rest. Right, so the next tier. Right, we're moving from tier 1, tier 2. We're now moving to tier 3. And the next topic next pillar is we're going to be talking about rest. Awesome. Well, glad that you're here. I am glad that I can be here with you. I'm always excited. We are walking through this path together. I am living a limitless life. You are living a limitless life. And we want to make sure that we're doing the best job that we possibly can. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. Thank you for coming through. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted. And we are not allowing anything to prevent us from doing what we need to do. That is what limitless living says. We are stepping out. We're breaking through the boundaries. We're breaking through the constraints. And we're presenting our best self, our best health, and our best plans for our life. Go ahead, go out there and live a limitless life. And we'll see you in these digital streets. All right, everybody. Good night.